What is your profession?
So here we have 2,000 points of Blood Angels. So starting with the troop choices, we have a 5-man tactical squad, 5-man scout sniper squad with camo cloaks, and another 5-man tactical squad. Both tactical squads will be riding in Razorbacks with twin assault cannons. In the centre we have 2 units of Terminators, 1 unit of Assault Terminators with 5 Thunderhammers and Storm Shield, 5 Tartarus Terminators, 3 with Combi Bolter and Power Fist, 1 with Reaper Autocannon and Power Fist, and the Sergeant has a Volkite Charger and a Power Fist. We also have 3 heavy support choices. We have a Dakar Baal with twin assault cannon and double heavy bolter, a Land Raider with 2 twin las cannons and a twin heavy bolter, and then another Dakar Baal with twin assault cannon and double heavy bolter. Finally, in the fast attack section we have 5 assault marines just with bolt pistol and chainsword, and at the front we have 2 HQs. We have a captain in Terminator armour with dual lightning claw, and we have Mephiston, Lord of Death. All of this fits into a single detachment. It's a battalion detachment, so the Blood Angels today will have 6 command points. So here we have 2,000 points of the Tyranid swarm. At the front here we have a unit of gargoyles. They're just armed with their basic guns. We have a Broodlord with claws. And then got a unit of Sky Slasher Swarms, 2 units of Termagants with no upgrades, a unit of Gene Stealers with no upgrades, 2 units of Hormagaunts with no upgrades, a unit of Venomthropes and a unit of Zonothropes, and then a big squad of 6 warriors, all with bone swords and death spitters. We've got 2 Carnifexes, both with 2 sets of Scything Talons, Bioplasma and Adrenal Glands. We have a Hive Tyrant with wings and massive crushing claws, or is it Scything Talons? Massive Scything Talons, sorry. And then we have the Swarm Lord, who will be the Warlord for this force today. So all this is in a single detachment, a battalion, which means the Tyranid will have 6 command points. So here we are, field of battle at deployment. So the Blood Angels have created a line of tanks. Over here we have a Baal, got another one here in the centre. Scout snipers and the captain, 2 tactical squads in Razorbacks. This one over here has Mephiston in as well, and then we have the Land Raider with 5 assault marines in. The Terminators are in reserve. Coming over here to the Tyranids, it's just a big old swarm of bugs. We've got some Termagants at the back, Hormagaunts and Genestealers leading the charge, Gargoyles just doing their thing, being a nice protective screen for the rest of the army, Carnifexes, Swarm Lords, and then back here the rest of the chittering horde. So currently the Blood Angels have turn 1, but the Tyranids are going to try and seize on a 6. So here we go. No. Lewis, do you want to use a command point to re-roll that?
No,
he says
thanks.
no. Nope, so that's it. So we're back at the end of turn 1 Blood Angels. So an interesting first turn from the Blood Angels. Maybe didn't do as much damage as they wanted to. So the assault cannons from these 3 tanks and the heavy bolters all opened up into this Carnifex, and they only did 3 wounds to it. The Land Raider then opened fire with his las cannons and just got about 15 or so wounds. Just absolutely just took it out. So those assault cannons were a little bit wasted. And then the rest of the firepower from sort of scouts, this Baal, and the twin heavy bolter on this Land Raider were responsible for just decimating the gargoyles and killing off a couple of Gene Stealers. But the swarm is still very much a swarm. Let's see what they can do in Tyranid turn 1. So turn 1, Tyranids quite predictable. They swarmed forward, got a turn 1 assault off. So this Hive Tyrant came in here, and thanks to the Swarm Lord's Hive Commander ability, it was able to move again, charge the Razorback, just demolished it, caused it to explode. The explosion has done 2 wounds to the Hive Tyrant. It's killed a Tactical Marine and has put 2 wounds on this Baal Predator. Over here, these Hormagaunts have swarmed forward. Thanks to the onslaught ability, they were able to charge. Now, unfortunately, they didn't do any wounds, but they have locked that Razorback in combat. The Razorback is damaged, but that was due to Smite in the Psychic phase. Lewis got an 11 to cast, so that did D6 mortal wounds, and he got 4. Apart from that, it's pretty standard, really. The Nids are just coming forward. Let's see what the Blood Angels can do to retaliate in their turn 2. So here we go, Blood Angels, turn 2. Bit of a mixed bag. So the Land Raider just didn't do any damage whatsoever, barely hit with anything. Over here, the Baals and the Snipers, they fired into the Gene Stealers and just wiped them out completely. In the combat phase, this continues to be a bit of a wet noodle fest. No one's damaging each other over here. But over here, the Blood Angels charged in with Mephiston, the Captain, Tactical Marines and Assault Marines. Mephiston struck first and did 6 wounds to the Hive Tyrant, but then the Tyranids burnt 2 command points and intervened and squashed the Captain before he could do anything. The rest of the Space Marines tried the hardest, but unfortunately were only able to do another few wounds to him, and the Hive Tyrant has survived on a single wound. We are going into Tyranids turn 2 now. Let's see what they can do. So really brutal Tyranid turn 2. Brutal for both sides. So the second wave has moved up behind the first wave, which is nicely engaged in combat now. The Swarm Lord uses Hive Command ability on himself, moved forward and chopped up those Marines. The Razorback was killed through a combination of Smite, and they got lost 2 wounds thanks to the Gribbly Horde. They have now moved on and have consolidated into this Bile Predator. Very, very nice having that 6-inch consolidate on those Hormagaunts. Great little rule, that. Over here, it's a real back and forth. So Mephiston intervened using 2 command points, countercharge, but was unable to actually kill the Hive Tyrant. The Hive Tyrant then fought back against Mephiston and did 2 wounds to him, but didn't kill him thanks to Mephiston's Feel No Pain. He was able to get quite lucky on that and stop a lot of the damage going through, and the fact the Hive Tyrant was so badly damaged, he was on 1 wound, he was struggling to make his hits connect. So Mephiston actually didn't do anything. It actually came down to the Assault Marines, who had an absolutely great round, hit with nearly everything, got 3 or 4 wounds on the Hive Tyrant, and it just failed, just couldn't make those 3+ saves. So the Hive Tyrant has fallen. A number of Assault Marines have been killed, one by the Carnifex, I believe, and then no Hormagaunts were killed either. It's just a lot of attacks bouncing off, but a few failing in the key areas. So yeah, really just back and forth, back and forth. Will thought Mephiston was going to kill him, didn't. Thought the Hive Tyrant was going to kill Mephiston, didn't. And at the end of the day, it just came down to the humble Assault Marine squad as to chop up that Swarm Lord. But as you can see here, we have a lot in combat. Blood Angel lines are starting to buckle, and we still have the rest of the chittering swarm coming up behind. Let's see what the Blood Angels can do in their turn 3. I reckon it's time for the first company to land in and cleanse some Xeno scum. So here we are, end of Blood Angels turn 3. They've managed to do a pretty good counter-attack over here. Assault Marines, Tactical Marines, and Mephiston were able to clear out the Hormagaunts with a little bit of help from Battle Shock, but the Carnifex was able to rampage and kill those last Assault Marines over there. Over here, these Hormagaunts, one was killed by the tank getting run over, and then another was killed by, another 4 actually were killed by the scouts. They did really well, and that caused another 5 to die from Battle Shock, so that swarm has been thinned out over there. Over here, the Broodlord is on 1 wound thanks to fire from the Tartarus Terminators. The autocannon there really doing a lot of damage, but both of these units unfortunately did fail their charge on the Broodlord. So yeah, basically both sides have lost a lot of infantry in the centre, but it is time for Tyranid Wave 2. So here we are, Tyranid turn 3, interesting turn. The Tyranids, the cunning of the swarm, they fell back with the Carnifex so that Mephiston, Lord of Death, was actually available for shooting. Thanks to combined fire from Termagants and Warriors, he was brought down to just 1 wound. The swarm then went in there, the Venom Throats went in as well, Unfortunately, the Gaunts weren't able to do any damage, and then Mephiston countercharged and just slaughtered the Venom Throats, and that meant that they were not able to use their toxic miasma to try and put mortal wounds in him, so really unfortunate there. However, they have, with their Consolidate, managed to pull those Marines into the combat, so those Marines will have to stay in there, try and help Mephiston, or they're going to have to pull back. We'll see what happens. Over here, the grind continues, although the Scout Sergeant is now alone on his tower. His 3 of his comrades were cut down, and unfortunately he was unable to do any damage back, and the tank was unable to... Oh, tank ran one more over, sorry, it's basically every turn ran one guy over. So, still a lot of swarm left. Gonna see what the Blood Angels can do in their turn 4. Also should have mentioned that the Ripper Swarm burrowed over here and then was able to get a double 6 on the charge and has now tied that Land Raider up in combat. They didn't do any damage, but they were able to tie it up. Let's see what the Blood Angels can do. Brutal Blood Angels turn. These first company veterans have really done their job. These Tartar Terminators came in and just gunned down nearly the entire mob of Gaunts. There's just 2 left. Unfortunately, they weren't able to make the charge on the Warriors, but that was no problem for the Assault Terminators who got a double 6. They came in and just smashed 3 Warriors to pulp. They didn't take any damage in return. Over here, the Endless Swarm keeps grinding away. Another Tactical Marine was brought down. Another couple of Gaunts were killed. And then over here, the last Scout was brought down by the claws of the Hormagaunts. This tank didn't do any damage, and these 2 Hormagaunts over here have used their Consolidate to get into combat with that vehicle, which means it can now no longer shoot or have to fall back, or it's going to have to run some Gaunts over. And finally over here, the just noodle fest that this fight is. The Swarms aren't doing anything to the Land Raider. The Land Raider's doing nothing to them, but that Land Raider still cannot fight. I think 1 Swarm has been killed now, but overall it's just a bit of a wet slap. Let's see what Tyranids can do in their turn 4. Very interesting turn for the Tyranids. They were able to finally kill Mephiston, Lord of Death. The Carnifex just came in there and just smashed him to pieces. But over here, these Terminators are just cleaning house, smash the Warriors apart. The Zonothroats have had to come in there just to try and tie them up with that 3+ invuln. And over here, the tanks remain locked in combat with just random bits of the Swarm. Let's see what the Blood Angels can do in their turn 5. So here we go, a bit of a interesting turn. The tactical Tartarus Terminators came over here. They're able to reduce this Carnifex to 2 wounds. It's taken 6 wounds now. Unfortunately, they just didn't get any wounds or hits on the Termagants. And the Termagants were able to finally bring down that final Tactical Marine. And then over here, the Sergeant got 111 to wound on these Termagants and just couldn't kill them. And then over here, these 3 Terminators did actually do 3 wounds to the Zonothropes, but they made 2 3+ saves. They failed 1, but Lewis had 1 command point left over. He used it, and all 3 survived. Over here, no more damage done. Both sides just locked in combat. Let's see what the Tyranids can do in potentially the last turn of the game, turn 5. Turn 5, Tyranids, the cunning Swarm doesn't have to stay locked in combat. It has fallen back with every model it can towards the objective. The Carnifex was able to bring down 2 Terminators. But the game has rolled to continue on the rollover 4, so we're going into Blood Angels turn 6. Let's see if the Angels can snatch a victory out of the jaw. So, end of turn 6, end of the game. We did both Blood Angels and Tyranid turn. So, it's just been an absolute grind. The Terminator Sergeant punched out the Carnifex over there. One of the Sergeants over here was able to crush this Termagant over here. This meant that there are 6 Blood Angel models within 3 inches, 2 Assault Terminators, 3 Tartar Terminators, and a Baal within range of this objective. There are also 6 Tyranid models, 4 Termagants, 2 Zonothropes. So it's a draw on the relic. Both sides have claimed Warlord. The Blood Angels have First Blood, but the Tyranids have Linebreaker thanks to these little swarms over here, which means that it is a draw after 6 turns of absolutely brutal combat. The game did end on a 2, so that's it. Hope you guys have enjoyed this battle, and I'll see you guys next time.